Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hindu Data Point. I am my colleague Vignesh Radhakrishnan here. He's part of the Hindu's data team. He anchors the Hindu data unit. I'm Srinivasan, Deputy National Editor. I'm also part of the Hindu data team. And today we'll look at what is happening in the Indian elections. Sooner or later we'll be getting to the results. But having said that, already we see a lot of speculation. The Election Commission has told that no exit polls will be announced till June 1. But that has not stopped political analysts and psephologists from coming with their predictions. Some political analysts like Sanjay Kumar, who anchors CSDS Lokniti, he has been saying that there is a good possibility that the BJP's seat tally might fall close to the majority mark, that is 272, and might stay somewhere between 272 to 278. That's what he has said in an interview. The other prominent pollster, Pradeep Gupta of Axis My India, he didn't quote any numbers, but he said that this election is quite interesting and almost till the last vote is counted, there will be suspense. That's what he said. Apart from psephologists and pollsters, some other prominent figures, like for example Prashant Kishore, the ACE campaign manager, who has managed the campaigns of several parties. He has, on the other hand, insisted that the BJP's seat tally would come close to or even more than the 303 that they had won in 2019. You can see this seat tally here. So, Vignesh, before what I thought we could do was, let's see what would it take for these predictions to come about.
Right.
Look, we can look at the swings that are happening in seats, in states, and we can go state by state and look at what would it take for the India Alliance, the chief opposition, to come close to majority, or the BJP to fall below the majority or come close to majority.
Right.
Or even we can also look at whether the BJP and the alliance will reach the
400 mark.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for that, you are going to show us first what happened in 2019, right? All these alliances are based on 2024 alliances, right? So if we apply that 2019 results, the NDA comes to around 347 seats, with the BJP winning 303 seats and the Shiv Sena 18 and other parties. And India Alliance is about 1 or 3 seats with a vote share of 30%. NDA's vote share is around 44.8%, and others, which are like parties like BJD or AITC, which have not yet announced any alliances. So they have won around 93 seats with the vote share around 25%.
The caveat is that parties like the Trinamool Congress, they are formally as part of the India Alliance, but in the states they are fighting against other parties also in the India Alliance. So, and Mamata Banerjee, the Trinamool Congress Supremo, has said that post the elections, she would be her party would be part of the India grouping, whether it forms a government or not. That's what she has said. But because they are fighting against each other,
we have marked them as others.
Understood. The left, on the other hand, is fighting against the Congress
in Kerala,
but it is also fighting along with the Congress in Tamil Nadu. We did not therefore take it outside the
and
India
put them in others.
Yes, so that is what you have done here.
Right. So I think you are going to go region wise and show what happened in 2019. Maybe we can go for Hindi Heartland first.
Yes. Of the close to 225 seats, the NDA won 196.
Right.
By Hindi Heartland, I am not including states like Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir in the north, but all other states in the north and western part of India, where Hindi is the predominantly spoken language, which includes Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, and Jharkhand. It won nearly 85 to 90% of the seats. And if the India bloc has to make a mark, they have to dent this tally. And interestingly, except for a few states, most of these Hindi Heartland states, the fight is directly between the BJP and the Congress. In states like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and so on, the fight is directly in the Congress. On the other hand, in states like Uttar Pradesh, you have the regional parties which are very prominent, the Samajwadi Party and the Bahujan Samaj Party, and in Bihar you have the RJD, which is the leading force. So, essentially what we wanted to say was, for the BJP tally to get below 303 or get below 272, unless there is a dent that is made in this Hindi Heartland, it is not possible. But the BJP did equally well in West also. In the West, if you notice, of the BJP won 69
seats.
and out of 78. North and the west was the stronghold of the BJP.
So the talk is that whatever they are losing in the north and the west, they should be able to compensate in the other regions.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But the other regions will give a tough fight to the BJP.
Yes. Let's look at them.
So this is south, whereas Karnataka being the exception, and the others almost BJP has not won much. So what does the tally look like in south?
So 2019. The India alliance has won far more seats than the NDA. Right. So for the BJP to reach 400 on the hand, they have to retain what they won in the north and the west, and then eat into the
India's share
in the south. And also let's look into the east. East we have Bengal and Odisha. And here you have the others doing very well.
About 35 seats for others.
35 seats for others. And here too, the BJP would want to win more seats in order to increase its seat tally. And the India's seat tally to close to 400. So roughly we know what are the strategies that these parties have to adopt.
Understood.
What is in Hindi they call it Ranniti, the strategy that they have to adopt in order to expand their base, or for the BJP to retain the strongholds and get into new areas.
Right.
We know for a fact that even in states like Tamil Nadu, while the BJP is doing better, it's still the third largest party. And even though it can get a large number of votes, whether it will be able to convert it into seats remains a question. The same holds true for Kerala. So technically these are not battleground states. Battleground states are those where you can see a good strong contest between the India bloc, others and the NDA, either two of these three. Among the west, Maharashtra can be expected to be a battleground state. And it's very logical.
Understood.
In Maharashtra, you have...
There are some factions, the split in the parties, the NCP split into two parties. And Shiv Sena also split into two parties. And how the vote share is going to swing this time?
We don't know, but we also know that the Congress has aligned with the Shiv Sena and the NCP. NCP and Congress have always been in alliance. But the Uddhav Thackeray faction has now come to
the India alliance.
And the NDA has also broken the Shiv Sena and NCP, and two factions are with them. And it's a very close fight, which is what we are hearing also. We are expecting Maharashtra to be a battleground. The other battleground is Bihar. In the assembly elections that happened in Bihar in 2020, the margins between the NDA alliance and the India alliance were very small. And almost they got literally the same vote share. The LJP at that point was not part of the NDA. But even if you add up the LJP vote share to the NDA, the gap was not much. And in the assembly elections, the contest was very close. So we could expect the RJD and its allies
put up a tough fight
in Bihar. The next battleground state is in the south, that is Karnataka. India had won 26 out of 28
BJP had 26 seats.
In the assembly elections held barely 6 months or
Congress did very well.
And they also won the elections. The other very important state is Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh has 80 seats. And any major swings if it happened in UP could impinge upon the tally of the BJP, also the tally of the India group. Let us see what kind of swings can happen and what kind of things really happen during assembly elections. And we will see whether the tally of the NDA in 2019 and India group in 2019 is increasing or decreasing.
So essentially in this exercise, what we are trying to do is look at the seats won in 2019. You may wonder why the numbers are a little bit higher, because you have to remember that the alliances are based on 2024 alliances. So of course the numbers will be a bit higher than what they got last time, or maybe a bit lower for India alliance. So this is how the seat positions look if we apply 2024 alliances 2019 results, and with 356 seats for NDA and a vote share of about 45-46%. So, but that's one point. The other thing is that after 2019, many of the states, most of the states have gone through some assembly elections, and in those assembly elections they have got a vote share, which you will see a complete shift in the NDA's vote share, where it reduces for NDA and increases for India. So Srini, take over and tell us why we are doing this exercise.
So before I get into the assembly bit, let's see what happened in 2019. As you said, we have added some of the parties that were not there as part of the alliance in 2019. And if you do that, then the seat tally of the NDA goes up slightly. Shiv Sena has broken into two parties. So we don't know which faction should be taken as official faction or not.
Party symbol has retained with the Shinde faction. You have added it to the NDA.
Yes, I have added all the seats that they won in 2018 in the NDA itself. So that is why you notice that the 347 mark has gone up to 356. Other parties like Suhel Dev Samaj Party, RLD, etc. have been added. If I take all the assembly elections that were held after 2019, and we have done this exercise of collecting this data and adding up those assembly segments, and you know that every Lok
I
Sabha
understand.
segment has assembly segment.
Right.
If I add up the vote share for the assembly, I'll get the vote share for the Lok Sabha segment.
Right.
If I do that for the nation, for the entire nation,
Right.
or for all assemblies that elections that took place after 2019, the BJP vote share comes down to 38%. India's vote share goes up to 34%.
Right.
Obviously, you would ask me why this is the case.
Right.
But what I would like to do is to tell you that something happened in 2019 for the BJP to get this higher vote share in the 2019 elections. The reason was what everyone knows, the Pulwama effect. Posters like CSS Lokniti had in the Hindu said that Pulwama effect, or what is called the Balakot effect, also increased the vote share of the BJP.
For the 2019 polls.
For the 2019 polls. Modi's leadership was a major point.
Right.
Because these two issues were conflated together.
Right.
The Prime Minister's so-called decisiveness was seen as the reason for India taking this action.
That explains the higher vote share in 2019. But when it comes to states, of course, state the priorities are different. Yes.
Contest is run on different local factors and so on. And therefore the vote share comes down.
Right.
So one fact what political scientists say is that if you want to see what could happen in the Lok Sabha election, you cannot say that assembly elections are not a factor.
Going to reflect the assembly elections in full.
Right. Although in 2019, like for example in 2018 there were 3 elections, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, where the Congress won.
Right.
Yet it did not win those same vote shares in 2019 because of the Pulwama effect. So we know that the so-called Pulwama effect is not in play in now.
2024.
Right? There is no single issue like the Pulwama issue that is garnering the BJP the same kind of support.
In fact, if you go by the CSDS pre-poll surveys, it is more about unemployment. It is more about price rise this time than on the single things like Pulwama, which is last time, right?
Only 8% of the people who are surveyed by CSDS Lokniti said the Ram Mandir was their primary concern.
Right.
So clearly, even though the BJP has tried to make that as a singular issue and linking that to Mr. Modi's leadership and tried to make that as the binding issue like the Pulwama issue that bound voters together last time, that has clearly not happened.
So more livelihood issues have taken precedence now. Yeah, right.
So therefore, it is not futile to do an experiment looking at assembly elections, especially those that happened recently, and try to look at the trends there and make certain assumptions based on that.
Right. So let's go state by state, starting from battleground states to look at what happened in 2019. First, let's go to Karnataka. And in Karnataka, as we saw, like the NDA won 26 seats in 2019 with a massive vote share of about more than 60%.
Correct.
And India won only 1 seat.
Before you go on, Vignesh, this is not actually what India won.
Right.
JDS and BJP fought the election separately.
Correct.
What we have done is, because JDS and BJP are fighting
alliance now, right?
We are collecting the JDS vote share in 2019, putting it together.
Right. That explains the massive vote share. Right. And then there was an assembly election in 2023, where we can see that the vote shares of the NDA have gone down from 60% to 49%.
Right, which includes the JDS vote
share. Correct. And India's vote share has gone up from 32% to about 44%.
Correct.
Right, and now you are saying that if we calculate based on these vote shares, what happens to the tally is and when we recalculate, we can see that the India's seats won has gone up by about 17 seats, and they have reached from 1 to 18 seats, whereas the NDA's total tally has gone down by 16, from 26 to 10. Right, and when we are applying this vote share, right?
That is, if you apply a swing away from the NDA of close to 12%,
right,
which is what happened in the assembly election,
right,
and see almost the same 11.85% swing to the India bloc,
right.
If you do this thing, essentially this vote share goes up from 32% to 44%,
right,
and that is 61% to 49%, despite the 6 percentage point difference.
Right.
This, in terms of seats, the India bloc gets much higher number of seats. They get around 18, while the NDA bloc is getting 10. The reason for this is because the India's vote share is also very high in some pockets.
Right.
And the contest is much closer in other pockets.
Right.
So because of that,
even a smaller 6% swing, 6% difference is leading to such a drastic increase in seats. Right.
But obviously this won't be the case in
2024.
What happened in 2033 will not happen.
Will not repeat, but the priorities are different this time.
So I would like you to basically come up with a hypothetical swing.
Right.
Instead of 11%, let us say it's a 7% swing away from the NDA.
Right.
And let's give a 7% swing to India in the same 7% to the India bloc. So we are assuming that India bloc gets 39%,
right,
and NDA gets close to 54%.
right,
Even that is a very high number,
right.
but we are assuming this is happening. So what happens?
When we recalculate that, yes, it is not going as high as 17 seats, but it is coming down to about 14 seats.
Right.
And in NDAs is coming down about similar number of seats. So let me summarize for our viewers.
Yeah.
So you are saying that in 2019, which is based on 2024 alliances, this is the situation.
Yes.
And then you are applying what the vote share that they got, that the alliances got in 2023 assembly polls,
Yes.
and you are coming up with the seat difference,
Correct.
which is 17. So this is the extreme that could happen.
Yes.
If the 2024 happens exactly like 2023,
yes.
and this is what the results are.
Yes.
But neither is this the case,
yes.
nor will this be the case. These are two extremes.
This could also be the case.
Yes, that's possibly.
More than this. We don't
right.
know the Congress government will be popular.
Right.
But
right.
if you are taking a conservative estimate,
exactly,
and assuming that the
right.
vote share falls only 7%,
right.
even then the India bloc gets 15
seats. Right.
So a 7% drop can lead to 15 seats for India bloc.
Right.
So essentially that is why this is a battleground state. It's a closely contested state.
Okay.
And the NDA is bound to lose seats. It is not, we don't expect it to get 26.
Right.
But if it loses a vote share of 7%,
right.
it loses 14 seats.
Right.
Right. Now what happens if, assuming this is what is happening now, right?
Right.
So we saw that the India had 356 seats.
Correct.
What will happen now if it loses 14 seats? It loses 14 seats, it goes down to 342. And India bloc is getting to 122. Correct. And it is moving
slowly to the
away
left. From
it's moving closer to 272, right? Go on to other battleground states.
The next battleground state you want me to go is Bihar?
Bihar. Let's
right.
go to Bihar.
Right. So in Bihar in 2019, again applying 2024's alliances, we get NDA, the seats was massive, 39 seats that they won with a very high vote share of about 54%.
Correct.
And India got only one seat with a vote share of about 24%.
Right.
And then assembly elections happened in 2020. Right. We do see a large shift from 54% to 42% for NDA. Yes. Again, like Karnataka, about 11% decrease. Right. And for India, we see a shift from 24% to 38%, about for 14% increase. Correct. And so now you want me to recalculate based on the vote share. What if 2020 is repeated in 2024?
Before you do that, you have to take the caveat that this elections, assembly elections in Bihar were held in 2020.
Much before, yes.
4 years ago, unlike Karnataka.
Yes,
so
which is much closer.
Of this exactly happening.
Reflecting is less. Yeah. But still, if we go by that, we see a massive, almost a flip. Like India is now winning, alliance winning about 23 seats, which is an increase of 22 seats, and they go down by almost similar number of seats, 23, and then they reduce to 39 from 16. Correct. So now these are two extremes. Yes. So now somewhere in the between, the truth lies. And what do you want me to do for this?
Let's say instead of they had 54%, let us reduce it to say 45%, 8 percentage points. Right. And they won only 24%. Clearly, that won't be the case. Right. They would get closer to this 38%. Right. So let us give them 38%. Right. Let's give them 14. Others had a huge number last time. Yes. So let us reduce that to by 6%. Right. So 14 minus 6 makes 8. Right. Right. 6%. Yes. Essentially, the others are losing 6%. Right. India alliance is gaining from the others, and also
as well as NDA. Right.
And let's calculate what happens.
So now if we recalculate. Yes. The NDA is going down by only 14.
Yes, 14.
And they are at 25 seats, and India is going up by almost similar, and they are in 15 seats. So this is somewhere between these two, right?
Exactly. So if we assume that the NDA alliance is only losing 8% points, right, and the India alliance is gaining a lot from the others, and also from the NDA, and others are also coming down because it's a Lok Sabha election, it might come down. Right. And because this is more or less seen as a two-party fight. Correct. And there's a reason why we are cutting from others, because CPI, ML, and there's a more coherent India alliance block now. So if you do that, then clearly the NDA is losing only 14 seats. Correct. Having said that, 14 is a big number. Right. So if you look at what happens to the NDA, it has fallen further. Right. From 342, it has fallen down to 328. Right. Right. So you see, any drop of around 8 percentage points, and closer to 45 instead of 53. Right. The Pulwama effect gave the NDA more than 50%. If it is reduced to 43 and closer to what they got in the assembly elections, even though more than that, they still lose 14 seats. Correct. And now we can see that it is coming. It's 328. Yeah. Let's go to the next battleground state, which is Maharashtra. Right. Now this is going to be dicey. Right. Yeah, because of many splits. Yes. Right. Yes. Okay. So Maharashtra in 2019, going by
the present alliances, but keeping in mind that Shinde's faction is still with the NDA, so these numbers do reflect that, right? And if we go
assuming all the seats that the Shiv Sena won in 2019, we are assuming that to be the Shinde faction because they carry the symbol.
Absolutely. And then we can see that they won 41 seats with a vote share of again above 50%, and India has 5 seats with a vote share of about 32%. And so AMM is just 1 seat.
Now, these elections were held in 2019, 6 months ago. There is no point using, so let us not calculate the assembly swing at all. Let us hypothesize. Now, let us assume that the NDA knows that the Uddhav Thackeray faction is more popular than the Shinde faction, but the Shinde faction is not
done and dusted.
It is still, it's still has a hold. Very strong in Thane and parts of Kalyan and so on. On the other hand, the Pawar faction, Ajit Pawar's party, it retains the clock symbol, but it has been only 4 seats by the
NDA alliance.
While our Sharad Pawar faction is contesting more seats. Even though Ajit Pawar's faction has taken the bulk of the leaders, and also the legislative party leaders and so on, the popularity seems to be also with the Pawar side. So we need to basically understand that clearly the NDA's vote share is expected to fall. Right? And since again it is a 2-block election, the VBA, Vanchit Bahujan party, which had a large vote share, which is reflected in the
others vote share.
13%. We can expect that vote share to fall because more and more we are hearing ground reports that the India group has the support of 3 communities: Dalit, Kumbi, that is Marathas, and Muslims. What they call the DMK factor. Don't go with what the actual expansion of DMK is. So people are saying that there is a groundswell of support for from these factions. So we can assume a substantial drop in the NDA's vote share. And we also give close to a 10% increase for India bloc. Let's do it 6%. Yes, and 4 from others.
So if we do that, then India goes up by around 18 seats. So from 5 to 23, and the NDA comes down to 23 with a similar number of seats giving up,
And you look at this, it's almost the same. Which is what others
very
are
close
saying,
contest.
Very close contest. So if we are giving a vote share that is very much the same. So if this vote share goes up to 42, and the NDA's vote share goes up to 44, comes down to 44, and other vote shares fall further, then the election becomes even more tighter. If I give more vote shares, cut even others further, give vote shares, then the India bloc will get more
surpass.
They might even surpass. So let us now see what is happening at the national level. It has fallen to 310. So if you look at what we are doing, this exercise is similar to what senior psephologists and also political scientist who is now who calls himself a political activist. He is part of the Swaraj Abhiyan and also the Bharat Jodo Abhiyan, Yogendra Yadav. He has been doing a similar exercise, but he has not given you this kind of detail. He has been giving you from his reading what kind of seat drops can happen for the NDA. We are trying to put that in terms of numbers from using seat swings. So we applied 3 battleground states, and by applying these 3 battleground states, we see that there is a possibility of the NDA
getting reduced to
310 if these 3 things happen. Now again, we could be wrong. Let me add that caveat. The NDA might get more votes this time. They could get more votes. We don't know if that happens. Clearly, this number
just an exercise based on what the figures say. And with the 2019 elections in mind, and the assembly elections which happen later in mind, and then finding a middle ground between these two. That's the statistical exercise about.
Now let us go to state like Rajasthan.
So in Rajasthan, we see a similar situation where NDA almost swept about 24 seats, and about 58% massive vote share. We also see vote share is very high, 36% for India, but then the number of seats is 1, and then assembly elections happened in 2023,
same time
which we saw,
after Karnataka.
Absolutely, and we saw a shift there, with the NDA coming down in vote share percentage and India going up to 43%. And so if we
before you go there, I wanted to point out something. If you notice, the vote share for the India bloc is 43%, and India is 40%. Despite that, India won a lot of assembly seats. Why this vote share has gone up is because we have added they have got new allies. Like for example, Beniwal's party, Rashtriya Loktantrik Party, and the tribal parties, they did not fight in alliance with the India bloc in the assembly elections.
Right.
But now they are in alliance in 2024.
Right.
So if they fought together, they could have got 43% and they
Okay.
could have even defeated the BJP.
Understood.
It did not happen.
Right.
But in vote share terms, we are looking for what is happening in 2024. That's why you are showing this number.
Right.
Let
Right.
us calculate the swings.
So if we calculate the swings, then we see NDA going down by around 8 seats.
Yes.
So if they base this on the 2023
Assembly elections.
elections,
Yes.
and India going up by similar number of seats.
Correct.
So
Correct.
finally, it is still the NDA is ahead, but about down by 8 seats to 16.
Yes.
India is around 9 seats, which is an increase of 8 seats from
Right.
2019.
Now, when you have to calculate
Right.
this hypothetical swing in Rajasthan, it is not the same as Karnataka.
Right.
Because they don't have a Congress government in power in Rajasthan, which is doing some schemes which have benefited people, and therefore there's a honeymoon effect on the
Correct.
party.
Right.
The BJP is in power in Rajasthan.
Yes.
Right? So we cannot apply a similar kind of swing that we saw in Karnataka.
Right.
We have to think further, right? Number one. Number two, in Rajasthan, the Congress was in power in 2019 when the 2019 elections happened, and despite that, it suffered a huge vote share drop of 36 to 36.62%. The silver lining for the Congress is that the Pulwama effect is not there. So let us take both these factors into consideration and apply the swings. So let us assume that the NDA gets the benefit of being in power in
Right.
Rajasthan, and therefore there is an honeymoon effect.
Right.
And so it increases its vote share from 42 to let's say 48.
Right.
So it's a 6% increase.
Right.
That still means a 10% drop.
Drop
So
from
let us-
2019.
So
Right.
let's make it minus 10.
Right.
Okay. And let's say the India bloc gets close to this vote
Right.
share. Let's even be a bit more conservative and drop 2%.
Right.
So let's make it 41 or make it 7% increase.
Right.
Let's give it 7%.
Yes.
And let's give 3% increase to others. And this is also borne out by some what is happening in the local level.
Right.
Some independents are doing particularly well.
Right.
Forgot the name, Barmer. I think
Right.
that's a constituency where the independent is particularly popular.
Right.
So let us assume these things happen.
Right.
Right. And calculate. Press go.
Right.
So what's happening? So the India bloc
Right.
gets only 4 seats, while India gets 21 seats.
Right.
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 And that's what we are hearing from the ground also.
Right.
A minimum of 4 or 5 seats are
So
being.
there will be a change,
there
but
will
then
be
the
a
change will not be to the degree of the assembly elections.
Yes,
It's much
could
less
be.
than
It could be.
Right.
We are being very conservative.
Right.
But based on the conservative estimate, we are
Right.
saying they will still win 4 seats.
Understood.
We have to put it that way.
Right.
They're still losing seats. 3 seats they are losing.
Right.
Even in a state where they're in power.
Right.
And they did very well there. But a conservative swing estimate still gives the India bloc around 3 more seats.
Right.
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 Let's see what happens to the.
Right.
It has come down to 307.
Right.
Right. Okay. Now let's do a similar exercise for Haryana.
Right. Right. So in Haryana, last time they completely swept.
Yes.
So they won all the 10 seats,
Correct.
and then they had again a very high vote share of
Yes.
58%.
Yes.
And India had not won any seats when it is around 29%.
Correct.
And then assembly elections happened. This assembly election also happened immediately in
Immediately.
2019.
Yes, yes.
So there is no point in continuing to
Yes.
see what the
But there is
projections
something
are.
interesting.
Right.
Look at what happened in the assembly election.
Right.
India bloc retained its vote share.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It did not go. It barely fell.
Right.
But the NDA, what vote share it got, that got split among
Yes,
other parties.
other parties.
The other parties are clearly the JJP.
Right.
The
Jananayak Janata Party.
Janata Party.
Right.
And the INLD.
Right.
So that vote shifted to this local parties.
Correct.
Right. And we know since 2019, a lot of water has flown under the bridge. A lot of agitations have happened in
Right.
Haryana. There is
Yes.
a farmer agitation. The Jats are particularly angry.
Right.
The BJP was in alliance with the JJP. JJP withdrew from the alliance.
Right.
There were 3 independents who till
Yes.
a month ago were supporting the government.
Right.
They withdrawn support.
Yes.
Lot of water
Yes.
has flown on the bridge, and clearly the indications are that the BJP is losing substantive vote share.
Correct.
Right. Let us assume that the assembly vote share is actually the NDA's vote share.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
And we will give 4% more, 4 or 5% more.
Right.
For the national effect.
Right.
So we are giving the NDA 41%, or
Right.
42%.
Right.
So that will be a 16% drop.
Right.
Right. And this 29% is very low for
Right.
NDA.
Yes.
For India, it is bound to increase.
Right.
And let us assume, because again the regional parties are also there.
Right.
So let us assume that 16% is going in favor of, or let's say,
Yeah.
of the four, maybe
About
14%.
half.
Yeah.
Okay.
14% to this thing. Yeah. Yeah. And let's say the others, there are other parties
2.
also 2%.
Right.
Okay. And look at this, the election
So then
goes
we
very
see almost, it's a very close contest again.
very close contest.
Right.
I would assume, in my opinion, it won't come down to 5-5. There's a
Right.
good possibility the NDA might get 6 or 7.
Right.
And they can come to 3.
Right.
But there is a good possibility that this might happen.
Right.
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 So if you do this, let's see what happens to the.
Yeah, so it
falls more
Right.
closer.
Right.
So it's now coming to 302.
Right.
Which is just around 30 seats.
Right.
From the majority.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, let us go to which state? What do you want to do? You want to go to Delhi?
Yes. Sure.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So Delhi, again it was a sweep last time. So with a very massive vote percentage of around 57%,
Yes.
and India did not win anything, but they had a vote percentage of around 40%.
Correct.
And then assembly elections happened, similar to Bihar in 2020.
Yes.
And we saw, yes, there was a shift, and we saw huge shift. Yes.
Because we are again adding up AAP's vote share and
Right.
Congress vote share.
Because they are in alliance now.
Yeah, they are
Yes.
in alliance now.
Right.
So even though the BJP won 57% vote share, because these two parties are quite prominent,
Right.
they are getting a 41% vote share in 2019.
Correct.
In the assembly elections, what happened? The
Right.
AAP did very well.
Yeah.
Almost the equations were flipped.
Right.
The AAP, which won only, half of this or close to half of this, they won much higher. They won close to 50% of the vote. And therefore, when you add the Congress vote share, it came to around
Right.
58%. The
Right.
India bloc got 58%. The NDA got 40%.
Right.
Now, what would happen now?
Right.
Again, somewhere in between, if you calculate based on the
If you
assembly
calculate,
thing,
it will be flipped.
it will absolutely
Yes.
flip. The
Right.
India bloc will get all seven.
Right.
But
That's not what will happen.
That's not what.
Right.
There are some people who vote differently
Right.
in Lok Sabha and
Yes.
Assembly, right? So we are assuming that the NDA will get somewhere between this vote share and this vote share.
Right.
Right. Let's give this -8.
Right.
What happens?
So when we recalculate,
Yes,
it's almost
very
half.
close.
Yeah, very
Yes.
close. Yes, again.
It could be 3-4. It
Right.
could be 4-3.
Yes.
But this I
It
think
won't
is-
be a
yes,
sweep.
It won't be a sweep.
Right.
That's what.
So
we are
here there is a sweep in that way. Here there is a sweep in this way. It will be
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle, somewhere like this.
somewhere in this, and
Right.
that's the news we are hearing
Right.
from the ground. Every seat is being contested.
Right.
Even the prominent seats like Northeast Delhi, where Kanyakumar is
Kanyakumar is,
contesting,
yes.
Manoj Tiwari, and other seats. The news is that it's not easy for the BJP. They are not sweeping these elections as they did in 2019, and the elections are getting closer.
Right.
Here, the India bloc is optimistically getting 4 seats. It could be 3, it could be 2. But clearly, the NDA is losing seats from before. It is not winning 7-0 as easily as it won in 2019.
Right.
If these trends hold.
Right.
Now again, let's see what happened. If this holds, what happens to the? It's false. Now
Yeah.
finally, it falls to
Five.
below 300.
Right.
That's what
Right.
happens when you consider what is going on in Delhi.
Yes.
Now, which state shall we go now? Shall we go to Punjab?
Right. So Punjab, as you can see, that India had a big seat share of about 10 seats and about a good vote percentage of about 48%, and SAD had 1 seat, and NDA had only 2 seats with a vote share about 10% or so.
Correct.
And
This
then
NDA,
Right.
only is BJP now.
Right.
SAD is at the time
out
it was
of the
part
alliance.
The alliance.
Right.
Now it is not of the. Not
Right,
part of the
right.
alliance. Yeah.
So then elections happened, state elections happened in 2022,
Yes.
and we saw this vote share which in India alliance got increased further
Yeah.
to a massive 65%.
Because bulk
Right.
of it, the AAP came to power,
Right.
and we are adding AAP and Congress together.
Because they are in alliance
Yeah,
now.
but this is not entirely accurate.
Right.
AAP and Congress are not alliance in Punjab.
Right, yes,
Right?
they are not. They
they
are fighting
still
with
fighting
individual
this.
candidates.
Yes. But having said that, the bulk of this went to AAP.
Right,
Yeah, the Congress was not getting. But
yes,
what you hear from the ground is that the contests have been kept in such a way
right,
that the Congress doesn't want to hurt the AAP and the AAP doesn't want to hurt the Congress
right,
also.
right.
Yeah, please go on. Yeah.
So that's what, so if you should apply these to see the
Yes,
trends,
yes.
and if we see a further increase
Yes.
from 10 seats to 13 seats in Punjab for
right.
India Alliance, and NDA going down by 2 seats and not taking any seats,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So then I think SAD is also losing the lone seat that it
Yes,
won
yes.
back in 2019.
Okay, we can assume that what happened in the assembly elections can be held this time also.
Right,
Because AAP and Congress came together, and there was a significant drop in this thing. So we are going to reduce the vote share of this thing to -3, make it -3,
right,
and we'll increase India to +3,
right.
and leave the others as it is. Okay,
Right.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
So you notice that
right.
the India bloc is last time they won 10 seats. This time they can win 12 seats.
Right,
So we are reducing the BJP's vote share in
Right.
Punjab,
Mhm.
because we know in the ground this thing also BJP is not the most prominent party
Right.
in this thing.
right,
So we are expecting this to happen,
right,
and if this happens, it falls even further.
right,
Now again, this could not happen also,
right.
because the AAP and Congress are fighting separately.
Yes.
They might divide the vote share
Yeah.
instead of helping each other.
Yes.
So this might not happen also, but the high likelihood is that this is what could happen because the way they have put up candidates and so as to not hurt each other, and the fact that the BJP is a minor player in this thing, and the SAD and BJP are also not in alliance, and therefore we can expect this to
something
happen.
Like this
something like a 2-seat drop for the NDA and 2-seat increase for the for the India
alliance.
Now let us go to Andhra Pradesh.
OSRCP won almost 15 seats in 2019, and NDA you have given 10 seats, and then their voters are almost similar in 2019, 46%. This is around 49%. And India, of course, Congress has not a big say there, so around though they did not win in seats, and their vote share is also very marginal. Right. So then,
here what we could do is here we can assume that the YSRCP is going through anti-incumbency, and it is losing its vote share, while the NDA is benefiting out of it because NDA now includes the Chandrababu Naidu's party, the Jansena party, and this thing. So we can give a 5% drop for YSRCP.
Which will be in others. Right.
Yeah, and a 5% increase in NDA's vote share.
Right.
And let's see what happens.
So we do see a huge jump. Yes. We do see NDA going up from 10 to 17 and OSRCP coming down from 15 to 8.
Again, if you give a lesser vote share, this might change. Right. If you give it 3%, for example, and a 3% for this thing, and calculate it, then it becomes closer. So it could be anywhere between this. Right. So let's give 4. For the sake of being 4. So there is a gain of 4 seats for the NDA. Now, if you assume these 4 seats are added to the NDA,
so here is where they start to compensate a bit.
For it. Exactly. So the NDA now compensates for its losses and it goes above
303.
Now let's go to Odisha. Again, Odisha is like Andhra Pradesh, a state where the BJP expects to be better than last time.
So Odisha, we see that in 2019 BJD won 12 seats and NDA won 8 seats, with 1 going to India, and they had a vote share. BJD had a vote share of about 42%, NDA had almost similar vote share, 38%, India had 14% vote share, and then they also had elections immediately, so there is no point in going there. So what do you think will happen here?
So you see, from all ground reports, what we are hearing is that the BJD again is trying to stave off anti-incumbency. It has a very popular chief minister. Advantage the BJD has, it's very strong in the rural areas, while the BJP is stronger in the urban areas. So some of the anti-incumbency efforts may be cancelled out by the fact that this BJD is quite popular there. Still, for the sake of the fact that because it's been in power for so long, if you assume anti-incumbency, let's give a -2 to others, which is BJD, and +2 to NDA, right? Okay, and we assume that the India bloc gets just 15, the bare minimum. Then you see again the NDA
increase
bloc
of 3 seats.
Increase of around 3 seats. Right. This could go even further if there is a bigger. But let us assume that this is what is happening based on what we are hearing on the ground. Now, if you do that and apply that in the same, again the seat
compensates a bit further.
It goes up to 300.
So let's go with Jharkhand this time, and Jharkhand we can see that NDA went with 12 seats in 2019 and India got 2 seats in 2019, and NDA had a very massive vote share of 55%, India had a vote share of 30%, and then in 2019 immediately the state elections happened, and we see some shift, a good shift actually, from 58% to 42%, and India going up from 30% to 36%, and others also gaining a lot, right? So what do you think will happen in Jharkhand this time?
There are 2 things here. Number one, even though the Pulwama effect gave the NDA such a huge vote share, when assembly elections happened, the people voted on local issues in the same year. Because that effect is not there now, we could assume that the India bloc would get a similar vote share. Right? And this India bloc is currently in power. Recently, the chief minister had changed because it's the JMM leader and former chief minister Hemant Soren has been put in prison for corruption charges. Now that could play in different ways. Will it benefit the BJP because of the attachment of corruption for the JMM leader, or will there be a sympathy for Hemant Soren from his constituents? Jharkhand being a tribal state, my assumption is that the sympathy factor will play out a bit more than the corruption sticking on the chief minister. And the corruption sticking on the chief minister will play out more in the slightly urban seats and seats which are not tribal seats, and there the BJP might benefit, like the Dalit seats and the non-ST seats. On the ST seats, especially the Santal dominated seats, I believe that the sympathy factor will play more for the JM. and probably these two could cancel out each other. Therefore, considering these factors, I would therefore give the India bloc close to what it received in the assembly elections. So
Right.
it will be a 6% increase, and because this it won't come down till here,
Right.
but it will still come down a bit because this was the Pulwama effect playing through. So let us give them 48 or 49, so 6% there.
So 6% drop.
Yeah, 6% drop.
Right.
Okay, and then assume that the others are all getting this
Right.
much,
Right.
and see what happens.
So yeah, and India goes up by around 3 seats, and India comes down by a more similar number of seats.
Similar. Let's now go to West Bengal.
So in West Bengal, we all know it was a very tight contest last time.
Yes.
AITC won 22 seats, NDA won 18 seats,
Yes.
and both of them had almost neck and neck vote share, about 43% for AITC and 40% for NDA. And the others, India won 2 seats too,
Yes.
and with a margin, with a good vote share. Little lesser vote share of 13%.
Yes.
Right. So what do you think? And then 2021,
Yes.
they had a state elections.
Yes, let's calculate based
right.
on assembly swing. Yeah.
Right. So when we calculate based on that, AITC goes up by 11
Yes.
seats and NDA
Yes.
comes down by 9 seats.
Yes.
So there is one extreme of 2019 and the
Yes.
other of state
Yes.
elections.
Yes. Yes.
So what do you think will happen in West
Yes.
Bengal?
Very interesting. Look at
Right.
this. NDA's vote share has not fallen much.
Right.
It got only 40% in 2019, and it held on to most of this 40%. It got 38%.
Right.
But the TMC did very well in the 2021 elections, assembly elections. It increases vote share by nearly 5%. And look what is happening. If it increases vote share by 5%, the Lok Sabha segments it is expected to win
Right.
increases dramatically. It increases to 13. And most of the NDA's gains are lost. Right. Since 2021, many elections have happened. There have been panchayat elections, local
Right.
elections, by-elections. Everywhere the Trinamool has still been dominant.
Right.
And it's between the BJP and the Left Congress alliance.
Right.
In some places, the Left Congress alliance showed a comeback. They became the second largest party in some
Right.
elections. But the BJP also made a comeback in some places, right? And unlike, I'm not sure there is a national versus states level split.
Right.
People don't vote one way in national elections and one way in state elections in Bengal.
Right.
Bengal, their party affiliations are very sticky. And basically people tend to vote closer to this thing.
Right.
What could happen is that there are some issues that the Trinamool Congress is going through.
Right.
Like there is the Sandesh Kali issue.
Right.
That has dented his image. There are issues of anti-incumbency also. At the same time, the Trinamool Congress also enjoys a certain level of popularity because of schemes benefiting women
Right.
and so on. And if you look at what happened in the elections, actual elections in 2024, if you look at the turnout data, it's very interesting.
Right.
In phase 1, women outvoted men by close
Right.
to 2 or 3 percentage
Right.
points. Phase 2, around 2 to 3 percentage points. Phase 3, 12 percentage points difference between women and men.
With women voting more than
Right.
men. Yes.
Phase 4, nearly
Right.
the same. I have not checked phase 5 data.
Right.
But clearly women are outvoting
Right.
men in Bengal.
Right.
Now the BJP might claim that this is anger against Sandesh Kali which
Right.
is voting them. But I believe that is not truly the case. This is more the factor that benefited the Trinamool during the assembly election.
Right.
Schemes such as Lakshmi Bandar, which is basically a cash transfer scheme for women, they are doing very well. And Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee is actually campaigning full-throatedly for these schemes. In fact, the BJP is on the defensive. It has
Right.
said that we will retain these schemes even after coming to power.
Right. Right.
Mamata Banerjee and Trinamool Congress are saying the BJP stopped Narega.
Right.
Obviously, it was done because the scheme was not properly implemented. The corruption
Charges.
that was
On the
stopped.
state.
Still, the Narega scheme was stopped in Bengal, and Mamata Banerjee has been trying to convince the electorate that similar to how they handle the
They will
Manrega
stop
issue,
these schemes too.
also.
Right.
So that could probably have ensured that women are voting more.
Right.
Now
Right.
let's take all these factors into
Right.
consideration, and let us assume that BJP's vote share might fall between 40 to 38.
Right.
This is one scenario,
Right.
right? Or let's give, let's say the NDA is retaining its 40% vote share,
right.
okay? And while the left and the Congress have made a strong,
Yeah.
campaign compared to last time, they still are not able to
yes.
overcome this thing. So let us say something close to the assembly thing is
Right.
there, but because of anti-incumbency, some vote share is lost.
Drop
to the
for
win.
AITC.
So let's say 3%. Let's say 3% drop to
Others.
right?
Right.
Okay. And let's say the left and Congress get 2% of it,
Right.
right? And they get 1%.
Right.
Okay, what happens?
So now
Very close.
Very close.
Very
Neck and
close.
neck. Yes.
Neck and neck. So this I am assuming that the BJP's vote share is not going up much.
Right.
Let us do a scenario where the BJP vote share goes
Right.
up. Just to undo there.
Right.
Okay. And let's say we give them 3%.
Right.
Okay, 3%, and reduce this to minus 5%. Sorry,
Right.
reduce this to 0. India
Right.
to 0. India to 0. India to 0.
Yes, sir.
India to 0,
Mhm.
and give it minus 3%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Now what happens? The NDA benefits.
Right.
So it's a very neck to. That's why
Right.
Psephologists like Sanjay Kumar are saying it's a very neck to neck election.
Right.
I would say this scenario is more likely than this scenario.
Right.
My personal belief is that. But let's just assume this is the scenario,
Right.
conservative estimate that the NDA
Right.
is benefiting because of the anti-incumbency for the BJP. I would still believe for all the factors we can have something close, something not as big as this, but closer to this than this.
Right.
So if this scenario plays out in Bengal or something close to this scenario plays out in Bengal, then nine drop. So they would have dropped 9 seats rather than going up 4 seats. So they would have lost 14 seats. It will come down to 293.
Right.
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 But here, because we have made it very close, it is not. They have gained.
In fact, increased by 4 seats.
By 4 seats.
Right.
So West Bengal.
Right.
While people are talking about battleground states,
Right.
West Bengal could be a turning
Major.
point.
Yeah.
Now, this is the important state.
Right. Yeah. So this is based on if we put the alliances, it was 24 alliances. We get 2019 62 seats for NDA, and India is winning 9 seats, and BSP is winning 9 seats with a vote share about 50% for NDA, 25% for India, and BSP also have a sizable vote share about 20% to 19%.
Yes.
Right. But what is the problem with this scenario, Srini?
See,
Right.
BSP was
Right.
an alliance with
SP, right.
in 2019.
Uh-huh.
Right? And this time they're contesting alone.
Yeah.
So therefore BSP should be in others.
Yes.
Right. But the problem is, if you have to do swings, it's very difficult to do this.
Right.
Because because they contested together.
Right.
So and therefore calculating swings will be difficult.
Right.
So, but what we can do is, instead of considering 2019 elections, if we assume what happened in 2014
Right.
elections when all the parties contested separately,
Right.
and then try to make an estimate, I
Right.
think that will be accurate thing too. We have already made that
Right.
thing here. Yeah. So now in Uttar Pradesh, in 2014, that's what we have said here, and in 2014, the NDA got 73 seats.
Right.
By NDA, I'm meaning BJP, the Rashtriya Lok Dal, and smaller parties that are there now. Apna Dal,
Right.
and other smaller parties. If you add up all their listing, the vote share came to 44%, and they had won 73 seats.
Right.
India bloc, largely Samajwadi Party and the Congress and smaller parties, they come to 7 this thing, and others are 0 based
Right.
on the current alliances.
Right.
Right. In 2014.
Right.
Now, we need to calculate swings from here.
Right.
Right. If you look at what happened in the assembly elections, the NDA vote share went up to 47%.
Right.
India bloc went up to 35%, and others came to 17%,
Right.
which included the BSP, which won only 13%.
Right.
Let's calculate the seats
So
based on
if
the
we
swings.
calculate, it is the NDA is coming down by 12 seats to around 61, and India is going up by similar number of seats to 19.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So yes.
Yes, so therefore there is a significant drop.
Right.
Seats, even though the India is winning
61
seats,
again,
which
majority
is
of
very close
seats.
to, if you go what
2019.
2019,
Right.
61, almost the same.
Right.
That is what that was reflected in the 2021 assembly elections
Right.
also. Forget this. This is 2021 assembly elections. Now let us calculate hypothetical swings.
Right.
Now, before we get into calculating hypotheticals, we should know what is happening in UP. Now, in UP, if you look at the ground scenario, you will notice many are saying this, not just our reporters, but other reporters also, that the BSP has not been the factor that it was before. It had already deteriorated into a smaller
Right.
outfit in the 2021 elections, but now we are hearing that even more BSP supporters
Right.
are now shifting their vote to the India bloc.
Right.
And the 13% vote share it held in 2021 was largely the Dalit vote bank.
Right.
And among Dalits, specifically the Jata community, to which Chief Minister Mayawati belongs, that was the community which gave her and still continues to give her the strongest support.
Right.
But we are hearing reports that there is a significant shift of votes from
Yes.
the BSP to
BSP
the
to the India bloc.
So clearly the others vote share, that
Right.
was 24%, is going to fall further.
Right.
Right? It fell to 18% in 2021.
Assembly.
We can assume that it will fall even further.
Even further. Okay.
And the bulk of it has to go to the
India bloc. Right.
So let us assume that it's falling to 8%.
Right.
From 28 to 24 to 8.2%.
Right.
It's 17 points.
Right.
And if I am giving 15 points to India bloc,
Right.
or 14 points to India bloc, conservatively, right? And if I give 3 points to to retain its assembly vote share from
Right.
to 2021. So essentially, this vote share will become 44.29. This will become 47.29.
Right.
This will become close to 44.88.
Right.
And this will fall further.
Right.
Now see what happens.
So there is a humongous shift.
Humongous shift.
Right.
So you can expect a 16 seats
Increase
in
for the India alliance.
India this thing, and
Right.
even though
Right.
the NDA is the significant significant party here.
Right.
Now here you are assuming that there is no fall from the BJP.
Right.
Okay. Analysts like Yogendra Yadav are claiming very strongly
Right.
that there is a significant fall from the BJP.
Right.
In fact, close to 1/10 of the, conservatively speaking, 1/10 of the voter from the BJP is shifting from this.
Right.
If that happens,
Right.
right?
Right.
Do you want to do that also?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The results may be surprising. Just to
Right.
undo.
Right.
Okay. Now let's say the NDA is also falling. Let's say
Right.
back to 2014.
Right.
Sorry. Okay. 42. Two from 2014.
Right. So 42 to 2 percentage points. Yes.
2%. Now add up. It becomes 19 points for India bloc.
Right.
If this happens,
14 2 plus 2. Oh, okay.
19.
Right.
Now click go.
Yeah. You see a
So
massive.
much suddenly
Right.
a shift.
Yeah.
I don't think this is happening.
Right.
Because the BJP is very strong in urban
Yeah.
areas. In areas like Bundelkhand, it's very strong.
Right.
You cannot assume a uniform shift.
Right.
So Vignesh, we do not look into states like Gujarat, Madhya
Right.
Pradesh
Right.
also. And if you look at what happened in the 2024 to 19 elections,
Right.
see what happened in Gujarat. They
Right.
won very humongous vote
Right.
share, 62%.
Yes.
And they won all the seats.
Right.
So this dramatic shift needed in Gujarat, close to 17 points
Right.
for the India Alliance and 17 points below for this thing too. So
Yeah.
we assume that this state is not competitive. Similarly, Madhya Pradesh also, they won
Right.
a large vote share.
Yeah.
Yes, assembly elections were closer. We could have done a similar exercise for Madhya Pradesh, but the expectations are that the BJP might not lose as badly.
Many seats.
there.
Right.
That's why we didn't do that exercise. It could go below the 300 mark if the Congress manages to retain some of its vote share that is won in the assembly elections.
Right.
And its seat tally can go up, while the BJP's seat tally can come below 300 if that happens.
Right.
That's last time the Congress just won one seat.
Right.
And if they win 3 or 4 seats now, it can come down to 296. Similarly, in Chhattisgarh, if the last time Congress just won one seat, if it increases its tally to 2 or 3 seats, then again this can go even further.
Right.
So, from a conservative, we are assuming that Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh are strongholds of the BJP.
Right.
And we are assuming that the seat share that they are getting is going to be retained. It is not. It might not. Most likely, it might not happen.
Right.
But if you are not conservative, that number can fall even further. Whether this is going to happen or not, we'll see after when the results
Right.
come out on June
Right.
4th.
So viewers, we have reached the end of the episode. Of course, what we saw is all hypothetical scenarios. So once the results are out, we will do similar analysis and you will see a series of data points which comes on paper made on this, and we will also do a video to show actually how the results went. Right? Thank you so much, Srini.